Now, so I'm going to do a introduction and a kind of a guide through Asphalt 9 Legends on Nintendo Switch. Now, this is a free-to-play game which I play an awful lot here on my channel, and you'll see I cover all of the kind of events and stuff throughout the game, but I said I'd just kind of cover a lot of the more basic elements of the game just for newer players who might be looking to get into it, or for people who've been playing for a while but they feel like maybe they're not playing as well as they could be. So I've included some chapter marks down below in the timeline that you can see, and if there's any areas where you know about certain areas of the game, you can skip past them, or if you're just interested to know the way a different player like myself, who's played this for a couple of thousand hours, want to check them out down below. Now, like I said, it's a free-to-play game on Nintendo Switch, and it is really, really awesome in terms of the amount of content which is included for that free-to-play package. Currently, there's 67 different cars in games, with new being added all the time, and it goes across 8 different regions, from like really open ones like the Scottish Highlands, the snowy peaks in the Himalayas, and the recently added Caribbean roads. And also, like, they changed quite a lot. So, like, say on the streets of Rome, there's quite a lot of really, really narrow in tight areas in a very kind of street circuit, whereas again, like in Himalayas and Scotland, they're really, really wide open out stages. Across those 8 different regions, then you've got 50 different courses which are divided up and into different sections of those main areas. So you have races which start from about 30 seconds and they go all the way up to 2-minute races, and they can extend from 1 to 4 laps depending on the events. And yeah, this game has a load of different features, such as the career, daily events, online multiplayer, and local split screen races, and a quick race mode as well that can be accessed while you're offline. This game is a live service, so most of these modes are only available while the Nintendo Switch is online. But the one awesome thing about it is, as it's a completely free-to-play game, it doesn't actually require the Nintendo Online Network Pass thing to be able to get access to the game and play it all for free. Now, I mentioned the fact that this game was free to play, and like on my channel here, I like to cover a lot of the events and stuff to try and keep it that way for as many players as possible, because obviously, like, there is car unlocks and stuff that you can do by spending a little bit of cash and spending money towards microtransactions, but at the same time, the game also almost always provides you with car hunt events or special events, whereby they go on for usually somewhere between a week and a month for the longer big car events, like the LaFerrari Aperta event, which is ongoing right now. And over those times, you can play the game and use the cars that you have to unlock other cars. And through the career mode, which is again fully free and available to all players, you can unlock cars in that. You can unlock cars by playing multiplayer, and you can just use the game's normal currency, which is the credits, to buy blueprints at times as well from a Legend store that's in game. You can also get the premium currency in game by doing certain daily events, participating in those special events, and by completing daily goals, which I'll cover in depth in this video. Like I said, again, you've got the chapter marks down below, so I'll cover it and try and put them all together inside in a fairly concise, easy to follow guide as you go through this video. Now, so when you log into Asphalt 9 Legends, once you have the main modes unlocked, you'll want to kind of get a feel to the priority on the ways you should kind of go about things to get the most out of it and keep the game as free to play as possible. Now, that involves kind of dealing with the various cooldowns and stuff that exist in the game. One of the most important ones when you log in is just that free pack up top. It has a 4-hour cooldown time, and it contains loads of blueprints, as well as the possibility of actually having 50,000 credits or 20 tokens, which is really cool. But every 4 hours you should make sure and check on that, or just the first time you're logging in a day, usually it will have reset, so just click on your free pack. It's also a portion of a quest where you need to do this 3 times in a day, unless you're going to be buying packs with tickets. So if you actually do this 3 times in a day, you'll also earn yourself 5 tokens, which can go towards packs. It's a part of the dailies quests that I'll be covering in a different portion of this video. But it's just, a case of come in here, click on the free pack, click free, and get a reward. And they're not always going to be great. They can be blueprints for cars, like I said. They can be import parts, class-specific import parts, some credits, and some tokens. Now, as soon as you've got that unlocked, if you are still doing the quest for the buy an item at the Legends store, if you haven't already done that one, yeah, you can just give a check here, because the Legends store refreshes 3 times during the day, and sometimes you can get it where all of the import parts here are, say like these, where they're all 80,000. And yeah, that kind of sucks a small bit if you want to get something at the Legends store, and if you don't have anything else to get, it kind of sucks that you would pretty much need to buy an 80k part. So just give one look at the Legends store when you're getting your free pack. Check, is there a 25k import part, or else a car blueprint which is purchasable with credits. Now at the point of the game where I am, there is no car blueprints which can be unlocked with credits, but you will see blueprints coming here for the Lykan Hypersport, the FXK, and a bunch of other cars until they get maxed out. So like, obviously blueprints are always great. If you can't get a blueprint in the Legends store for credits, not tokens, then yeah, you want to get yourself one of the 25k import parts. And yeah, they're kind of useful, but at the same time it's just a case of to complete that quest for the 5 tokens. Now once you nab one of those, what you want to do straight away when you're logging in, always first, is go into your dailies events and use some tickets, because the thing is, those tickets in this refresh every 10 minutes and you can hold a maximum of 10 of them. And if you run out of tickets for events, you can't do anything in these dailies, and to purchase 10 more of them costs 50 tokens, which is actually a lot. It's pretty much an entire day's worth of quests if you were to buy those tickets. So just basically think of it, of any time that the ticket counter is full of 10 tickets, every 10 minutes is basically 5 tokens that are wasted, which yeah, is kind of a encouraging case to come in here and make use of them. So yeah, just a case of, depending on how much time you have to play, you might go for something like a 1 ticket event if you've got enough time to do things 10 times, or if you only have a couple of minutes to play, you can throw yourself into one of the events which costs 3 tokens, and yeah, run those 3 times. You'll burn up all those tickets, get the event done, and then yeah, you can come back in an hour and a half and they will have refilled. But that's just if you, like I said, don't have a lot of time to play, so just weigh it out as to which ones are more likely to be used. One of the daily events actually that has to be mentioned here is the weekly competition. Now the weekly competition, as it sounds, happens once a week and it runs all through the week. And yeah, it is just a case of, you do a single race in a DNC class car and you place a time and you get the rewards at the end of a 7-day period. Now the thing about it is, even placing a week enough time inside here will still get you some rewards. So as you're starting out the game, just try and budget those 3 tickets in the weekly competition at some point, have a race of it. There are like a load of the beginner cars that you can use in this, but the 3 cars that most people kind of gravitate for this event are probably the DSE Tense, which is an amazing acceleration, really easy to handle beginner car. Lotus Elise Sprint is the same way. Those are both very, very good beginner cars and really good to place a relatively okay time in this event. The Mercedes-Benz AMG GTS though is always the go-to car for the top speed and for getting into the highest ranks in the weekly competition. It pretty much, I don't believe it to be possible to get into that 1% or 5% if you're using those Elise or the DS or any of the other cars in this. And the car selection for the weekly competition, at least as of the recording of this video, is always the same. So yeah, that Mercedes-Benz AMG, if there's any events where you can pick up some blueprints for it, or places where you can tune it up if you're deciding which one of your C-Class cars to use, the Mercedes-Benz has the added benefit of always showing up in the weekly competition. And as you get it closer and closer to gold, you will push up the ranks in this and you can earn yourself upwards of 100k or 100 tokens and 100k credits in a week at the end of every week, as well as a handful of just regular import parts. There's no class specific ones inside there, but still, it's just a case of come in here, do a run of this race, and then just leave your time sit, as long as you feel okay with it. I don't often rerun this race a lot of times in a week, because say if you place in the top 10% and you're at the 80 tokens portion, if you rerun this race 2 or 3 times to get up the extra one, you're using 9 tickets for 10,000 credits and 10 tokens, which you could probably spend those the actual tickets elsewhere and get far more credits, more import parts, and possibly even more tokens if there is events you haven't done yet which have a token reward. So definitely, like, don't go crazy doing the weekly competition over and over and over again. Just try and place a good time and then just leave it be and come back again the next week and see if you can improve that time. Realistically, the ticket cost on this is too high to focus on it for anything other than just one good race. Leave it at that. If you find yourself where you've used up all your tickets, you have your free bits and pieces done, the other options that you can do are pretty much just one of two things, which is your career mode, where you can come in to do a load of events, practice on different courses, unlock tons of cars throughout the career, and loads of credits, tokens. There's lots of rewards here, as well as the fact that you'll get to see all of the cars pretty much that you'll be using, and loads of different variety in the tracks. There's some career events which don't show up in the other modes, but they're all worth kind of taking a look at. And like I said, you get tons of blueprints for cars and stuff as well, so it's definitely worth powering your way through here, even just kind of in the background while you're doing other stuff. Just use up all your tickets, you still want to play some more Asphalt, and yeah, pop in here for a few minutes and play some games. The other thing that you can do when you have no tickets is multiplayer. That's one thing as well, that like sometimes if you are kind of like after using tickets and you have that counting down, if your multiplayer seasons include very, very limited numbers of cars, which you might only have a handful of, say like if you didn't have all the cars for this season, it would be really, really tight on the fact of, like, say if you only had one car from this area, the J50 for example, and you didn't have the AMG, that J50's refuel time is an hour. So you'd really consider like making use of the J50 to have that refueling while you're missing out on the other cars. And the same, like say here, once you're in the elite on this one, all you have access to is a single car which has 3 units of fuel. So yeah, it can be an idea to make sure and check in on multiplayer as well. Multiplayer deals an awful lot of extra credits and reputation for a win, but obviously you're playing against real players and they're quite a lot more difficult than defeating AI in events. But the rewards for multiplayer are pretty cool. At the end of every week you can see them at the side portion of both of the multiplayer seasons. Do just keep in mind the fact of, like, don't burn yourself out trying to get certain rewards. Say like here, the top 1000 rank rewards 150k, 150 tokens. The top 3000 rewards is 100 tokens and 100k, which means that realistically it's far easier to be in the top 3000 players. And yeah, 100,000 credits to 150,000 credits, it's not that much of a huge gap in the slightest. So yeah, doesn't matter a whole pile there in terms of priority, and like I said, kind of going crazy for that to push yourself into those higher ranks. I've moved. What's that all about? Anyway, there's a reason I'm here. Regarding these daily goals, I'm just going to go through a few bits and pieces to do with these. And yeah, you'll find these at the top of your menu with the little checkboard at the very top of the screen. So if you go in there, you want to definitely make sure to do these every day. And that's because these are one of the main and easiest, most reliable ways that you can get yourself this Asphalt tokens, which is the in-game currency of the game. And if you think about it, like the Asphalt tokens, if you look in the in-game store, cost 40 of them costs €2. So realistically, like, you can get yourself €4 worth of microtransactions every single day by just keeping up on top of these tokens. Now, the one thing up at the top here, the gold combo, depending on your progress through the game, you might notice that looks slightly different for you guys. Now, at the start of the game, this gold combo is the Lamborghini Asteron is the reward for it. And at the very start of the game, it gives you 5 blueprints for this Lamborghini. When that car is unlocked, that reward goes down to 1 blueprint for the Lamborghini. all the way up until it becomes fully maxed out in blueprints, which will take you a couple of like months to do. But yeah, once that's fully maxed, the gold combo then transforms into this other quest where you actually get 15 tokens for it. So it's the equivalent of 3 other daily quests complete, which is really cool. So it means that you come away from each day with around 50 or 55 tokens, depending on if there's a special event ongoing as well. And yeah, it's like every 2 days or so you can get yourself a pack of cards. For unlocking more cars, and that's the main thing this game is about, is unlocking. But 2 of the things that I will point out here is these quests for upgrade cars and apply import parts to cars. Very importantly, you can end up in a situation where those become undoable. If you actually upgrade all of the cars you have access to, or you apply all the import parts you possibly can, and then you can't get access to any more blueprints, you can actually have it days where this quest becomes either very difficult if you put yourself into a situation where you can only do it to really expensive cars, or else just impossible if you don't have access to any other cars. If you've golded every car in your garage and you had a perfect garage, those quests actually become impossible because there's no way to apply an import part to a car which is fully upgraded. So you really want to be careful of that and just keep aware of it just while you're going through the game. Now, I will just show you one of the things that I do for it is I have deliberately kept some of the cars which haven't been used in events untuned, or mostly untuned, and that is so that like if I am caught out in a day where I don't have a lot of credits left over, or I just generally don't want to waste credits into stuff, I can come down here to one of these cars and apply an upgrade for 25k and apply an import part to one of these Duff cars for 5k, which won't really set me back very much of anything, but it would complete the 2 parts of that quest in 30,000 credits. And that might sound like a lot to a beginner player, and you might think like, oh, that's still a fair amount, isn't it? But if you say start to like gold these cars, like these guys here, which is what happens by the way when you fully tune cars, but if you start to gold cars and you gold all of these ones, and as you unlock you gold some more and you gold some more, and you ended up in a scenario where you're only stuck with these really like S rank cars as you're unlocking the newest cars. And if you were stuck to unlock these and you went, oh, I need to apply an upgrade to a car, I'll just do that to the Chiron. Time to get out 1,000,000 credits. So these S-rank cars are incredibly costly to apply upgrades. So to get your 5 token reward, if all you were left with was the Chiron, you're going to be looking at spending 1,000,000, or to apply an import part to some of these cars as well. I think, do we have an import part here I can put on this? An import part on the Egoista. There's 250,000 credits. Nice. So like again, if you can end up in a scenario where it can become impossible to do those, and it can also just become incredibly difficult to. So like it is a difference between spending 25k to get your quests done or spending 1.25 million. So that's why I hopped up here as well, so you can see the cost down below. I want to go back down, so see you in the next part. Now, back down here again, and I was just going to talk a small bit about the tuning of cars, just in particular as it comes like, what to spend your credits on first and what to try and focus on with cars. And I was going to use the Grand Sport here as an example. Now, the Chevrolet Corvette Grand Sport, when it starts off at 2.5k ratings, like 2,500, the top speed rating for this car is around 315. Whereas at absolutely max 3.9k here, like this car's top speed is 335, and that is with the Epic import parts installed at a max speed. And what I mean by that is the fact that the stat has changed an entire, it's 1/22 more top speed now than it had than when it started. That is to say, for every 22 miles an hour the car can travel at, it can now travel at 23 miles an hour, which over 200 miles an hour is a difference of about 8 miles an hour in total over its top speed. So tuning doesn't make a huge difference to cars, And also tuning a car's weaker aspects does not work out that great. Like the tuning cost for top speed costs the exact same as the handling and acceleration of this. The difference is that the handling stat started off down in the low 70s and ends up at 94, like an increase of far more as an actual percentage. The same with the nitro stat for this car. Like both of those stats increase a ton in comparison to trying to increase the top speed. So what I mean by that is, like, you really have to go and look at the car you're actually trying to tune up and see what you're doing with it. Like, the Chevrolet Grand Sport is never going to be a top speed car. So if you come in and spend all your credits just increasing the top speed stat, you just remember the fact that it's still never going to be able to like outpace one of the cars which is more built for speed. This car's main stats are the handling and the nitro. You can see it from the way it's built off here. And when this car is maxed out, I mean, it can hang in perfect nitro for an entirety of a race. And also the handling, it can drive circles around some of the other faster cars. But when they get onto a straight, this car is just always going to lose out. The same works the other way around as well. Say for something like the Bugatti Chiron here, you can see it even where, yeah, the top speed of this car, 269 miles an hour as I have it at the moment. If I spend on the next upgrade of that, it goes up by 1.20. Whereas if I use an acceleration upgrade, it's 0.35 as an upgrade. Or even handling 0.35 as well. Like, this car is not designed to handle. This car will never be able to like outmaneuver somebody that's using a Chevrolet Grand Sport. At the same time, on a straight, it will lose them every time. So it really does come down to the car's strengths and weaknesses. Like, you have to look at kind of how much of a stat increase you're getting. Just in case, by the way, you think, oh, that's obviously 400 is the higher number, so it has to increase, you know, in line with the other stats. Like, because that is so much larger. If you look at something like the Aston Martin Vantage, again, the top speed here is going to increase by a 0.8, whereas its handling will increase by a 1.12. So like, you can see from the base stat bars of the car, like where its strengths are going to lie. This car is not going to be a top speed machine. It's more in the acceleration and handling, and also some parts of the nitro. Good nitro can negate poor handling in a car if you're good at nitro management. But yeah, that's going to be a more advanced tutorial than stuff that's in the menu here. But I just said I'd give a quick run through because people have asked me what do I tune cars for, and realistically it depends on the car's strength. I'm never going to like focus on the wrong areas of a car. That said, if a car is like top speed that you get it at is really weak and you just want to try and increase that weakest aspect of it, then go for it and see if it does make a difference. Because obviously if your car can already handle fantastically and the speed stat is the weakest, go for it. But like say cars like the ones that I absolutely love to drive, the Chevrolet Grand Sport, the H2 Speed, the Viper ACR and the Lotus Elise Sprint, all of those cars handle fantastically well, and they also have a top speed that's around the same as walking. So like, yeah, they're great cars to drive, but like no matter, like this is completely golded out. The top speed of this thing never increased effectively. Like it, the top speed in driving is still 167 miles per hour, I think, or 176 if you're in a nitro state. So yeah, this one never became a top speed machine, regardless of how much was pumped into that stat. It just doesn't work like that. So you have to tune to a car's strengths. Okay, I ranted on enough about tuning, so I think we should take some of these cars to the track and look at some of the basics out there. Now, when it comes to steering in asphalt, hello. I just said I was going to try something out for this, just to point out, like, you will hear a noise when I'm playing quite a lot, which is this sort of a sound. And yeah, that's how I steer pretty much all the time while I'm playing asphalt. And I just said I'd do a video just to show as to why that is. And say, using especially some of the lower handling cars. So I'm using the Venture Start here. And yeah, when you're getting the car up to speed 170 miles an hour, if you hold a direction, say you can see as soon as you start to hold the direction when you're turning, yeah, the speed just shaves down. So like if I just zoom back and forth across the road, oh, this is slightly downhill, so it's not going to do too much. But yeah, if you're turning back and forth, you'll notice the speed's 140, and yeah, you can pretty much just saw away the speed by steering in the directions. And the way to avoid that is when you're steering is that tapping motion, which is what you hear all the time in all of my videos. So like that's why you'll hear me tap 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 the whole way around these corners, and that is the way that like I steer. And leaving off the accelerator here, unfortunately I don't have 3 cameras, so you can't see my accelerator finger, but yeah, all the time when I'm just going around the place and you hear that tap tap tap, it is just me hitting the stick back and forth like that. And I basically like don't ever hold the stick in a direction for more than a second unless I'm drifting. But yeah, that's a different case, because that's when you know you're going to lose speed. But if you want to just get a car into a cruising speed and not affect that speed, like not reduce the speed on corners, you are just tap 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 tap, keep it into the 200, and tap 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 around the rest of the corner. You can see it even starting to, like, the car is accelerating more than it's decelerating there whilst going around the corner in the same way. So yeah, that's why you hear that sound constantly while I'm playing of tap 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 of the stick. But that is also why some people pointed out the fact of, dude, my car does not stay at that speed like yours does. If you're holding the direction left or right in this game, that's really not how it does it. It's fine to do it in the air because there isn't thankfully friction in the air, but yeah, I just said I'd pull in the other camera there just so you can see what that sound is and why that sound is. So when it comes to steering in this game, like I said, you never want to be jamming it to the left or right. It doesn't matter too much here because it's coming down a hill, so it won't matter. But yeah, you never want to be doing this motion where you're like going left, right, because you see you will saw the car down in speed. But whereas if you want to do it, it's nice, easy, gentle motions of just tap 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 tap. And when the same, when a really tight corner like that, I do this exact same, except I didn't include the accelerator in it. So it is just a case of I'm tapping right and tapping the accelerator in alternate motions. Unfortunately, you can't see, like I said, my accelerator finger in this camera angle, but hopefully you guys get an idea as to how I steer and how the tap 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 sound makes a little more sense now when you see it in game. Yeah. So okay, I'm gonna focus some more on boost, and for that I'm gonna quit out of this because you don't need to see my fingers for that. Now I'm just going to go through the 4 different nitro states here on the track in Asphalt 9 Legends, and just kind of give a quick rundown through them and show their kind of strengths and weaknesses. And if you've got any questions about them or at all, or when they might be of use or not of use, just ask below in the comments and I'll see if I get back to you. But yeah, your 4 different states of nitro are just the basic yellow nitro, you've got your perfect blue nitro, the orange, what some people refer to as imperfect nitro, and then your purple nitro shockwave. And they do actually all have their different strengths and weaknesses, and they really, like, it isn't a case of one of them is the best at all times, just because of the way that the nitros work. And I'll try and show you those on the track in a small bit, but just to give an example here, your yellow nitro state is like, yeah, one of the slowest accelerating ones, but it burns for by far the longest in the game. But the one thing about that yellow nitro state at the same time is the fact that, like, it does burn for ages, so yeah, you get a really good use out of it. Now the addition to that would be the perfect nitro states, the next state up. Now this has really poor acceleration in the perfect nitro state, but what it does have is like an almost immunity to speed loss. So track hazards, steering, and like no matter how much you steer left or right when you're in perfect nitro, you can never lose speed from this. And it doesn't matter if you're going through track hazards either. Like you can drive through puddles, dirt, or any kind of like gritty off course areas. I'll see if I can find a bit of a mud down here, and yeah, you can see the fact that this car like will not come down for that 217 mile an hour nitro top speed with this version of the nitro. Now the next one is Imperfect Nitro, and it's got a really poor kind of name because people think of it as that, oh, you just press the nitro band. But Imperfect Nitro, outside of Nitro Shockwave, has the highest acceleration in the game, so it's the one that you always want to be hitting your ramps with just as you're coming up to them. So the two ways of doing it are either by double tapping the nitro when your bar isn't full, because if you double tap the nitro when the bar is full, you will get that shockwave, which isn't a bad thing really, but it's just if you want to save onto that. The other way to get it is initiate nitro, let it burn past the perfect phase, and then press it the second time when you're actually burned past that blue phase. So for this ramp up here, because of the fact I'm already in a perfect nitro, I'm going to have to take the car out of a nitro state and then put it back into the other one, so that you get a drop and then double tap to put it into the imperfect state. Because that imperfect nitro has, like I said, amazing acceleration. The only bad point about it is it's not immune to track hazards, and it's not immune to speed loss by turning. So if you've been in a crash and you use the imperfect nitro and you're actually still off stage in like some kind of a dirt track area, or you're in water or in any other track hazard, and you use the imperfect nitro, you'll actually find that it's very difficult to get back up to speed, and you'll end up just burning all your nitro meter. Whereas if you're off track and you use the perfect nitro, you will find yourself, you'll be able to cruise back onto the stage with relative ease. And like I said, that one is completely immune to any kind of speed losses other than bouncing off a wall. Bouncing off a wall will always slow you down. Now, the Nitro Shockwave is obviously your kind of go-to guy for blasting enemy players out of the way, or if you've got it for ramps as well, it'll send you incredibly far in the distance, and like it is really, really cool. But there is one bad side to that, and that is the fact that of those 4 states, players may not realize the fact that the top speed of the car does not change at all with the nitro stat. Nitro stat only decides how much nitro you have. It does not decide like how powerful that nitro is in terms of the actual like speed increase that it gives. So your nitro stat like will always increase the car a percentage above the top speed. And here, if you look at it, the normal nitro, if you're on a flatland piece, like I said, I'm going to get a really poor acceleration right here with this, but your normal nitro on a flat ground is 217 miles an hour. Your perfect nitro on a flat ground is 217 miles an hour. Your imperfect nitro, 217 miles an hour. And the one that people might not realize sometimes, because it seems so flashy and cool, is the fact that the actual Shockwave Nitro is the exact same. So I try and get this flat under the ground here so you can actually display it. But yeah, Shockwave Nitro brings you up to speed 217 miles an hour. So therefore, if you are actually driving on a flat piece of ground, there's no point in doing a shockwave. Like if this is just me and the road, and I go, ooh, I've got a straight piece of road, nitro shockwave, I'll be doing 270 miles an hour, but only for a couple of seconds, because they're going to burn up that meter really fast. Whereas if you actually think about it, if you've got a long piece of road in front of you, and you know it's like there's no danger, no hazards, no anything, just when the car is straight, tap a normal nitro, bring the car up to that 217 miles an hour, and then you'll cruise in that speed pretty much all day and all night, especially in this car. So like that 217 miles an hour is the top speed in nitro state, regardless of which one of the 4 that you use. So don't be mistaken by the fact that the nitro shockwave is really flashy. It's still 217 miles an hour. It's just burning that fuel super fast. And the same then like I said, with the imperfect nitro, it'll accelerate quickly, 217, and the perfect state is also that 217. The thing with the perfect state is that you will keep that, obviously, if you're drifting over like hazards and stuff like that, whereas if you were in the yellow nitro state there, I would have lost a lot of speed coming off the thing. But just do keep in mind the fact that the shockwave nitro is really just a waste of nitro fuel if you are using it where you're like have no real need to. It doesn't, like, all it does is just burn that nitro fuel incredibly fast. Again, I mentioned in terms of ramps, hitting them with the imperfect nitro state. If you hit a ramp with the blue nitro state, you actually don't go very far forward at all, and it's really, really kind of not... Yeah, it isn't the ideal way of hitting ramps at any stage, is with that blue nitro boost. It both uses a lot of nitro fuel comparatively, and it doesn't give you a massive boost when you're in the air. Like, in comparison to the imperfect state... Ooh, I finished. But yeah, in comparison to the imperfect nitro state or the yellow states, yeah, like, they really do give you a whole lot more acceleration, and because of that acceleration boost, you want to be using the imperfect or the shockwave when you're going over ramps. Recovering, you always want to be using your blue nitro state, and if you're just on a flat piece of road, just that regular yellow nitro state. Like I said, they all have the exact same top speed. There's no real benefit to using the nitro when it's not required. And yeah, I think that mostly covers nitro thing. If it hasn't, I'll add in a little extra clip here. Now, one of the things that people ask me about in the comments sometimes as well is how to change between the different nitro states during a race. And that is easy enough. It is just a case of a tap of the brake button. So if you're in, say, like a standard nitro here, and you bring it up to an imperfect, you want to change that back, just tap brake once, and then just tap the nitro again. Tap brake, bring it out into a perfect, and drive across this stage hazard. Tap brake, bring it out, and bring it back into the perfect again on the straight. Like, it is just a case of one quick tap of brake will bring you out of a nitro state, and then just press the nitro button again to bring you back into an opposing version. So imperfect to go across the ramp, bring it out, perfect to go towards the next ramp here. And yeah, that's all it takes, is just that one little tap of the brakes to yeah, go from one nitro state to the other. Braking in asphalt, which is a strange one, is a tap of the L button while you're, or L, yeah, just L, while you're not holding a direction. So if you're holding a direction left or right, L is going to make you drift, which isn't a brake button. If you're not holding a button left or right, L will brake and reduce the car's speed dramatically. Now, it's one of those weird ones, because like a lot of people kind of just go like, wait, there is no brake button in this game. And there is. It's just a case of you have to hold the L button when you're not holding a left or right. If you hold left or right, it turns into a, yeah, your drift button. But it's not a brake when you're in that state. When you're doing that, like, that's not a brake button. But yeah, just don't be pressing left or right. Hold down that L button, and it is perfectly a brake button. It's the strangest one ever to have a car game where you're like, wait, how do you brake? But yeah, it is just a case of without, because like if you tap the brake when you're pressing a direction, you'll go into this drift state, and no matter what you do, you like pressing it again and again and again won't get you to slow down. Cool. When it comes to the imperfect nitro state as well, by the way, there's one thing that players might have noticed other people doing, and that is boosting 360s off of ramps. And that is the fact of like where you hit a ramp, you put the car into a 360 state, and then you imperfect nitro boost inside to send the car flying forward. Now, that maneuver fills up your nitro gauge really quickly, and it does make you very dangerous while you're spinning through the air. Because obviously you're going to hit into other players, and because you're in that imperfect state, if you're in multiplayer, it is a really good way of like knocking people out of the way. You won't see it in a lot of my tutorial videos because of the fact that it's not an exact science. There are times when you can land down from it and you will not be facing properly on the track, and where it can add in a random element to it. So I rarely try to include it in my videos just because of the fact that it does leave this kind of a random element in them where some players might not be able to do the technique as much as other players, and at the same time, like, sometimes you can land down and get a really good boost out of it, and other times you can land down and not be perfectly lined up, maybe kind of catch off an AI, catch off something on the track, or just like, yeah, it does just add so many extra variables. It's why I don't do them in my runs. But to do those, all you do is just 360 as you're approaching the ramp, and then Nitro Shockwave once you hit into the air of it. So we can just go down here, and it is just a case of just 360 here, and then imperfect into the air. So your car fills up on the speed, and yeah, you come out of it with a full nitro boost, like I said. And again, it is just 360 imperfect state. And yeah, a lot of players use it in multiplayer, obviously, to fill up the bar. I tend not to, like I said, for a couple of reasons. One of the things is it's pretty aggressive in terms of driving, and yeah, I am not an aggressive driver when it comes to it. I love the PvE side of things. I do not do aggressive driving. Now, I said I'd cut myself off there, pretty much leaving it on the not aggressive driver. I think you probably picked that up if you watch any of my videos and see. But yeah, guys, I just said I'd cover a lot of these topics here. I might cut up this video into individual portions and make them into easier to swallow nuggets at a point, just for the sake of like people who would click on a 40-minute video and go like, whoa, that's way too long. But yeah, I've thrown this together hopefully as a guide. And like I said, maybe if you guys play Asphalt, there might be something you find useful in this. If you play Asphalt and you have a friend that you think might enjoy the game, you might direct them to this video as well and say like, hey, maybe you should check this out. Here's a good beginner's guide that covers some of the aspects of the game whereby you don't want to go through them with a mate and try and explain every bit of piece of the game, whereas hopefully I've covered quite a lot of the ins and outs of the games during this video. So I'd really appreciate it if you would share it and leave your comments down below and let me know kind of what you think as well, or if there's any major areas where I've left out or where I've possibly overlooked something massive in the game. I think I've covered quite a lot of the game anyway. But yeah, like I said, guys, I just said I would put this together because yeah, I think you probably picked up if you watch any of the videos on my channel that yeah, I really enjoy this game, and it's one of those things where when I enjoy a game, I really like to see if I can help other people to enjoy it as well and get the same kind of fun that I do out of it. So hopefully you get that from my videos and the channel in general. If you do, please subscribe, because like I said, I cover all of the events kind of that go on in Asphalt 9 Legends on the Switch, and I try to keep on top of them and also talk about other car games. Like I've got a review up for Gear Club Unlimited, and I also do indie game reviews, which I kind of really enjoy doing as well on my channel. I know they're not as popular with everyone as the Asphalt stuff, but at the same time I enjoy doing them, so you'll see those on my channel as well. I'm gonna finish it up there, guys. There's a sub button over my head. Yeah, I'd really appreciate it if you give that a click if you find anything in this video useful or any of the stuff on my channel useful. And yeah, I have other videos here and here that you can click to see more of what I get up to on the channel. Okay, guys, as always, drive safe and take care.